There's this huge invisible system that affects every single meal you eat every day. It works silently from farms to factories all the way to your fork. And when it breaks down, well, the consequences can be absolutely deadly. Today, we're going to pull back that curtain and take a deep dive into food safety. I want to start with just one number, 420,000. That is the estimated number of people who die every single year around the world just from eating unsafe food. It is a staggering, heartbreaking figure, and it's exactly why we need to understand the system that's designed to stop it from being even worse. Okay, so to really get a handle on the dangers that could be on our plate, we first have to talk about what food safety even means. And as you're about to see, that massive death toll, it's really just the tip of the iceberg. So, what is it really? Well, at its core, food safety is a science. It's the whole discipline of how we handle, prep, and store our food to keep people from getting sick. And this goes way, way beyond just washing your hands. It's this incredibly complex process that follows our food literally from the moment it's grown to the moment it hits our table. And that number we started with, the 420,000 deaths, that's actually part of a much bigger, much scarier picture. The World Health Organization estimates that contaminated food makes 600 million people sick every year. To put that in perspective, that's nearly 1 out of every 10 people on the entire planet. The deaths are, of course, the most tragic part of this huge global problem. And look, it's easy to think this is a problem that only happens somewhere else, right? Wrong. Even in a country with super regulated systems like the United States, we're still talking about an estimated 76 million cases of foodborne illness every single year. It's just proof that no system is perfect and that the risk is always there. So, if we're going to fight this problem, we've got to know the enemy. Foodborne illnesses are all caused by something called contamination, and it generally falls into 3 pretty distinct categories. Yeah, these threats, they fall into 3 main buckets. Let's get into them. Okay, first up, we have the one you can sometimes actually see, physical contamination. This is when some kind of foreign object, a piece of glass, a shard of metal, a bit of plastic, even a hair, somehow ends up in your food. It sounds straightforward, but it can be incredibly dangerous. Then you've got chemical contamination. This is the sneaky stuff, when unwanted chemicals manage to get into the food supply. We're talking about things like pesticides from the fields, powerful cleaning agents from a factory, or even toxins that can leach out of the packaging itself. And finally, we get to the big one, the most common culprit by far, biological contamination. This is about the invisible invaders, bacteria like Salmonella and E. coli, plus viruses and parasites. These little microorganisms just love what's called the danger zone, that temperature range between 40 and 140 degrees Fahrenheit, and they are, without a doubt, the #1 cause of food poisoning in the world. All right, so we've met the bad guys, but here's the good news. Our first and maybe most powerful line of defense is right there in our own homes, in our kitchens. It's easy to blame big factories or restaurants, but get this. The World Health Organization found that almost a third of reported food poisoning outbreaks in Europe happen in private homes. That's a huge number, and it's a massive reminder that our own personal habits are a really critical piece of this whole puzzle. So what can you actually do about it? Well, the WHO boiled it down to 5 simple key rules. 1. Keep clean. That's your hands, your surfaces, everything. 2. Separate raw and cooked food. This stops that dangerous cross-contamination. 3. Cook your food thoroughly to kill off the bad stuff. 4. Keep food at safe temperatures. And 5. Start with safe water and good, fresh raw materials in the first place. Let's double-click on that temperature point for a second because this is so important. Your fridge needs to be at 40 degrees Fahrenheit or lower. Your freezer? 0 or below. Why? Because those temperatures are cold enough to seriously slow down or even stop the growth of those nasty bacteria we were talking about. Okay, so we've covered our own kitchens. Now let's zoom way out and look at the bigger picture. Because there are these massive, incredibly complex systems in place that are designed to be a safety net for our entire food supply. You gotta understand, this system, it wasn't just designed in a lab somewhere. It was built piece by painful piece, usually in response to a crisis. Back in 1906, Upton Sinclair's horrifying book, The Jungle, shocked everyone and led to the first major federal laws.
Then in 1973, a deadly botulism outbreak from canned foods forced much stricter regulations. Again and again, it's been tragedy that has forced the system to get better.
And all of that history led to the biggest shakeup in decades, the 2011 Food Safety Modernization Act. This was a total game changer. For the first time, the entire philosophy shifted from just responding to outbreaks after people were already sick to trying to prevent them from ever happening in the first place. It was a complete pivot from being reactive to being proactive. So that brings us to today and to the future. The modern world needs an even smarter way of thinking, one that gets that our health is deeply, fundamentally connected to the health of animals and the environment around us. See, the old way of doing things was, well, it was siloed. You had your farm experts over here and your human doctors over there, and they barely talked. The One Health approach completely flips that. It's an integrated, holistic model that knows you can't have healthy people without healthy animals and a healthy environment. It's all connected. And you can see why this approach is so crucial for the challenges we face right now. I mean, think about it. Antimicrobial resistance that starts on a farm but affects our hospitals, or new bacteria that can thrive in warmer oceans because of climate change, or diseases that can jump from animals to humans. All these problems just cross all those old boundaries, and an integrated approach is really the only way we can tackle them. And that's really the heart of it, isn't it? The big idea behind One Health is that keeping our food safe, well, it isn't just about protecting us humans. It's about protecting the entire web of life, from the tiniest microbes to the biggest ecosystems that we all depend on. Which leaves us with one last really important question to chew on. In this super connected world where your food might travel thousands of miles to get to you, are all these complex systems and new ideas actually making us safer, or are we just opening the door to new, unpredictable risks? It's something to think about next time you sit down for a meal. Thanks for joining this explainer.